You're listening to the Empire Network.
Listeners from all across the galaxies, this is Star Wars Wastelands. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you fine listeners on this beautiful, beautiful day. I'm your host this evening, McMahon. It's truly a pleasure to be here with all of our fine, fine listeners, both on the Empire Network and live recording on Channel 1138. Joining us tonight, our panel of esteemed colleagues, guests, emissaries, Republicans. Jake, how you doing tonight?
Doing good. I identify as Tea Party, actually, so back off, son. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kind of Republican, kind of. I don't belong to any.
I was going for a more, Empire Republic thing, but then realized, wait, that just
I get it
like
now.
I was making a political joke.
Embarrassment is flooding over me right now as I understand what you were going for. Thank you. But how do you know I don't identify with the Imperials?
They can be a Tea Party in Imperial space.
I think if I was in the Star Wars universe, I would be a Republican. I guess I'll say that. But yeah, it's great to be on. I'm sorry I missed the last 2 weeks, but I am back in my rightful place at the round table of awesomeness here in virtual space.
And joining us, as always, the man with the mouthful of moussaka. Mondo, how you doing?
Sup?
That's all you got for us?
No,
Sure.
How long have you known me?
You were waiting
No,
on that note.
I was. So my first question is, Jake. Facepalm, man. Facepalm.
Yeah.
Are you a Guadalupan?
Inside joke from before the show.
No, the Guadalupan was an inside joke.
If you were here 15 minutes ago, you'd understand the Guadalupan thing and why it makes
Just so you
Jake
guys
giddy.
know, anybody who's listening, Guadalupan is a new nationality established by Mondo to describe somebody from Guadalupe,
At least we're
Apparently.
assuming that's where they're from.
which
No, actually, they're from Kenya.
I think
What?
those are called Kenyans, but it's been a while since geography.
All right, and the last man on our panel, Sage, how you doing?
I'm debating whether I should continue to co-host the show with you guys or just jump off the nearest bridge. At this point, they both seem like viable options.
Sean
and
is our
considering
Canadian
them
from
very
Zimbabwe.
carefully.
Well, I'll tell you what. Whenever you jump off said bridge, don't let a Guadalupan behind a CVS give you
Okay, I think
medical.
we've heard enough about the Guadalupans.
Yeah.
Let's get right into the first order of business. How's that
Yeah,
sound?
no, it sounds like a P-land. And the first order of business this week, we have a few things we want to bring to you. Let's start off with the Force Bowl. We've been voting on the Force Bowl, which is you can look at it as a this person versus that person contest in skill or favoritism or whatever.
Best hair.
It's just, when we say it's Obi-Wan versus Darth Sidious, it's Obi-Wan versus Darth Sidious.
It's
No
not
questions
who wins
asked.
In a battle. It's not.
No, I mean, it could be who wins in a battle.
It's your own personal
It can be who
criteria,
has
whatever
better teeth,
criteria you choose
who
to
has
use.
better hygiene, who
Who's
has
the best round droid?
yeah,
Who would you rather have dating your sister?
Who would you rather have date you?
nobody.
Okay, we're taking this in a weird direction, but if you want to vote on that criteria,
Just
sure.
exploring the possibilities.
So we have the first round is done. We started off with 64 Force users. That's right, 64. We won't give you the exact numbers. We'll just tell you the results and what we have for round 2. So in Division 1, Luke Skywalker took out General Ram Koda. Plo Koon took out Barriss Offee. Asajj Ventress took out Visas Mar. Darth Maul took out the Fifth Brother. Bastila Shan and Mara Jade Skywalker, one of our heavyweight matchups for this week, ended up tying. Therefore, both of them advanced to the next round, and there will be a triple threat match. Count Dooku took out Kip Dern. Shaq T took out Atten Ran. Now, what that means for Division 1 Round 2, which obviously the matchups are going to get tougher, you're going to have Luke Skywalker versus Plo Koon, Darth Maul versus Ventress. You're going to have a triple threat match between Mara Jade, Bastila Shan, and Count Dooku. That's a heavyweight tilt. And then you're going to have Darth Sion, whatever, versus Shaq T. I should also mention that Darth Sion took out Kanan from Rebels in an upset. So that was definitely I didn't expect that. But obviously the Knights of the Old Republic fans really came through. In Division 2, Round 1, we've seen Anakin / Darth Vader take out Darth Traya. We've seen Maz Kanata take out Sifo Dyas. We've seen Malik take out Savage Opress. We've seen Ahsoka Tano over Vistara Kai. Yoda over Qui-Gon Jinn. Ben Skywalker over Jolee Bindo. Darth Plagueis over Quinlan Vos. And Starkiller over the Grand Inquisitor, making Division 2 Round 2 matchups Anakin / Vader versus Maz Kanata, Darth Malik versus Ahsoka Tano, Yoda versus Ben Skywalker, Darth Plagueis versus Starkiller. Division 3 had Rey over Ki-Adi Mundi, Leia over, just squeaking by the way, by one vote, over her daughter-in-law from the EU, Tahiri Vela. Ezra over Cade Skywalker, Revan over Atris, Kylo Ren over Sabayoth, the Exile, aka Mitra Surik, your playable character from Knights of the Old Republic 2, over Juhani, Kyle Katarn, over the Seventh Sister, and Darth Bane over Kit Fisto, which gives you matchups of, here's a heavyweight one, wait for it. Rey versus Leia in Round 2 of Division 3.
Ooh.
Ezra versus Revan. Kylo Ren versus Mitra Surik, the Exile. And Kyle Katarn versus Darth Bane. And then we get on to Division 4, where Obi-Wan won over Darth Sidious. Arkin took out Anakin Solo. Exar Kun took out Satele Shan. Valkyrian, aka Darth... how do they pronounce it in the Old Republic Viz? Actually, I won't say that because that's a spoiler. Just Valkyrian over Darth Bandon. Mace Windu edges out Malagus. Jaina Solo takes out Darth Nihilus. Jason Solo / Kaitis takes out Jaden Kor. And General Grievous takes out Valen, giving you a matchup of Obi-Wan versus Arkin, Exar Kun versus Valkyrian, Mace Windu versus Jaina Solo, Jason Solo / Kaitis versus General Grievous. Out of all those Round 2 matchups, guys, what are what's sort of the big one you're looking at? And out of all the Round 1 matchups, did any result surprise you? Fizz, we'll start with you.
I was shocked to see a tie.
I was too. But, I mean, fitting for the tie to be between those two. That's one of the battles that we looked at right off the bat and went, oh.
Yeah, it was definitely a heavyweight matchup, that's for sure. Other than that, though, nothing really stands out as all that shocking. As for what I'm looking forward to...
I thought Sion over Kanan, like I said, was shocking.
A little bit shocking. You'd think Kanan has the wave of, fans who aren't familiar with Sion, but they came out. But
they came out in bunches and bunches.
They did. As for matches I'm looking forward to, we'll just have to wait and see. At this point, there was a few upsets in that round, so I'm kind of I'm excited to see them all.
George Lucas.
It also did the hand wave too, full on mind trick there.
there's definitely better, more blockbuster name matchups in round 2 than round 1. Mondo and Jake, did anything surprise you, and what one are you looking forward to most in round 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just, nothing really surprised me. Just because, this is all personal opinion, so, I mean, people's opinions, never fail to surprise me anymore, but, truthfully, I'm looking forward to the Leia Rey one. I'm looking to see how fans tend to go. Are they fans?
Well, where's your vote go on that? I asked McMahon the same thing last night.
I'm going with Rey.
See, I'm not sure.
I still have yet to decide.
My gut says go with Rey. I loved Rey, but I mean, this is Leia we're talking about. Leia, not to mention Leia in the EU kicks ass when she becomes a Jedi.
This is true.
I think I'm going to have to come down to a very trivial decision on that one.
Coin flip?
Alrighty, well, I think that takes care of the Force Bowl. We will have round 2 voting up tonight.
Hey, you didn't even get my opinion.
Oh, I didn't know if you had one. Sort of went silent there. Do you have an opinion, Sir Damon?
I don't.
Say yes, say no.
He doesn't have an opinion.
Just
make a
wanted the
big
opportunity
stink about the
to
opportunity,
see if
and then
I
your
have an
opinion is
opinion.
I have no opinion.
You are the weakest link. You just wasted a minute of our time.
Goodbye.
30 seconds tops.
All right, well, let's move on a bit here. I apologize for the microwave here in the background.
Ooh, what are you cooking?
I'm making the lady dinner before she gets home.
Oh, how sweet of you!
That doesn't answer the question.
Sausages, cheese-filled sausages.
Oh, yeah.
I think Jake just spit up something all over his dashboard.
Yeah. So, just let's move on here in the first order of business. Just before the New Year break came up for us, we told you that we had a project in the works from David Gramillion, and he was working on a fan fiction novel set between episodes 3 and 4 about a swoop bike gang that would sort of become a pain in the ass to the Empire. We can announce tentatively the first chapter of that is scheduled for release at the end of February, and then a chapter to follow each month afterwards. Hopefully the timetable sticks and we're able to meet. But I've seen a little bit of it, and Gramillion, like Gramillion always does, has knocked it out of the park. It's going to be an entertaining read for all that take the chance and have a read of it.
Am I included? That's the question.
Yes, you're included.
How could you not be included? That's a stupid question.
Well, for a second there.
We have another exciting announcement, though, in the first order of business. And that is, some of you might be old enough to remember back in the day when, role-playing groups were at its peak. Needless to say, they have died down quite a bit over the years. But we at Star Wars Wastelands are launching a Star Wars role-playing story arc. There is 6 of us to begin. We're going to carry on a story, and it's going to be open to the public as long as you follow the rules. So you'll be able to create your own character and join. It's pretty simple. You'll have to make 2 posts a week per character. Each post must be at least 2 paragraphs long. It's going to be fun stuff. If you like to write, and if you like to get creative, and you're 18 or older, come join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to create one hell of a Star Wars story and try to make it last a few years. We did one once before, and it lasted 3 years. So it was a lot of fun, and a couple of the main players from that are back. So it's going to be a lot of fun. This is what we can tell you. Okay, I got to bring up my notes here. I don't want to read this wrong. Oh, wrong show. Apologies. Is this role-playing game, or story arc, however you want to look at it as, is going to be set 20 years after The Force Awakens. Okay, so think about that. 20 years after The Force Awakens. It's also set 15 years after the entire sequel trilogy. You're probably thinking, well, how the hell is that possible? Episode 8 and 9's not even out. Well, in a role-playing game, Fizz, I think you would concur. I'll let you step in here in a second, but sticking to canon's almost going to be impossible. Am I right there?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're creating characters that are not part of the canon, so already it's...
Yeah, that's the fun of a role-playing game.
Exactly.
No, absolutely. But we're involving characters from the canon, too. What we can tell you is we are taking Episode 7 and the events that happen in Episode 7. But we're writing a brief backstory in between for Episode 8 and Episode 9, just to give people an idea of what happened that led into these events. Okay.
So at this point, Finn has been revealed as a Calrissian, right?
Finn is dead.
Nice.
Yes. Finn,
What?
Finn
No.
dies in Episode 9.
No!
Way to can the black
Yeah.
guy.
Finn dies in Episode 9,
No!
saving pregnant Rey
Oh, and his baby.
from
I get it.
Snoke, a.k.a. Darth Plagueis.
Is Finn the daddy?
Finn, yes. Finn is the daddy.
He's the baby
We
daddy.
went with the Finn and Rey. I know people said the friend zone thing. So that's part of it. This is,
I thought
I'll read
Finn
you what
and
we
Poe
have.
would adopt.
So I got a question.
Yes.
How did he die? Like was it gruesome?
Well, you're going to have to
I'll
wait for the intro post for that. But we more or less just told you he died at the hands of Darth Plagueis, a.k.a. Snoke.
Okay.
Now,
So are we back on
we're
the
gonna
Plagueis
weave. Well, for this story, like I said, it may turn out that that's not even close to true in canon. We had to adjust some things, like such as in this one, Rey is indeed a Skywalker. However, those that are hoping that Rey's a Kenobi offspring, there is a Kenobi offspring that's a non-playable character and on the Jedi Council. Obi-Wan's grandson, to be exact. Anyways, we're gonna weave in characters from Legends that some people are pissed off that aren't canon anymore. Now, obviously, certain characters are restricted. We couldn't really have Jason Solo and Ben Skywalker in there because that's more or less Kylo Ren. But some of the characters that we have revived from Legends and are bringing over to this role-playing game story arc that we hope to last a couple of years is the Sword of the Jedi, Jaina Solo. And you're thinking, well, why wasn't she in Episode 7? Well, it's quite simple. The backstory for her is she had a falling out with her mom and dad after Ben had turned. She is Ben's twin sister. And she took off. Just completely left. Hasn't been seen since. At least during the sequel trilogy. She comes back, obviously. I won't fill you in too much there. The big thing you need to know is this. The story is going to center around the resurrection of Darth Bane. That's right, the rule of two. Darth Bane is communicating with Force users from the afterlife, more or less manipulating them into doing his deeds, into resurrecting him. The story will start off on a stormy night on Coruscant, and it starts off with two devastating murders that shake the shape of the galaxy forever. On the same
Max
night,
Rebo. And who else?
no, the RP will start off on the same night Luke Skywalker and his sister Leia have been murdered.
Oh, man.
Now you're thinking, how the hell does that work? How could someone murder Luke? We can't tell you. That's part of the overall story. That's a way to sort of go, whoa, well, you're starting off with a bombshell. We are, and it's going to be a lot of fun because a lot of the fun is the players are going to get the opportunity to discover this mystery. And the only two people that are going to know who, possibly three people, that did this will be myself, McMahon, and Rogue. Not even Jake or Mondo, if they're participating, will know who did it. And that'll be part of the mystery surrounding the story, is who killed Luke, who killed Leia. Does it have anything to do with Darth Bane? It's going to be a lot of fun. Guys, your thoughts?
I'm gonna find cheat codes.
There are no cheat codes in an RP.
What? You said it's a game. I'm gonna get a Game Shark then.
Your
Word.
life is a game.
Fizz?
The only way a game shark would work in this game is if it's an actual shark put in Sage's bathtub.
Yeah.
Oh, can I do that?
Well, if you think you can get a shark across the border into Canada and into Sage's bathtub without anyone knowing,
Fizz,
So
your
there's a
thoughts
chance.
on the storyline chosen and the big boom to begin it with? And
it's
what
the
would you
first
say to
time-
people
it's the
that?
first time I'm hearing this particular portion of the story.
Well, we haven't had time, obviously, before
I'm
the show.
aware
so,
of that.
yeah.
So I still letting it all sink in.
It's a big boom. It's a big
It's certainly
shock.
much bigger than the boom we were discussing yesterday.
Much bigger. Much bigger. And we should
compared
state...
to what we were discussing yesterday. Yesterday we were discussing an RPG, and today you're throwing a nuke. It's
We should state that the RP is meant for people 18 and above due to the graphic nature of the RP. I apologize. My fiance just got home and the dog's going nuts.
yeah, I think
nothing
you
I can
hear
do.
that.
Nothing I can do to tune that noise out. Fizz,
might
what would
be-
you say
you
to
might be
people
about
that
to
are
get yourself
considering
slapped.
join?
Yeah, if you have the creativity and want to get in on this, get in on it. I mean, it's a fun way to tell a story inside a story inside a story.
It is, and it's a fun way to tag other players and, create new characters and build the Star Wars universe. As I was saying, though, there's some legacy character or Legends characters that are going to be involved. Jaina Solo, Jagged Fell, Kyle Katarn, Jaden Core. They're the four big ones that come to mind. Darth Bane's not Legends, but Grand Admiral Thrawn.
I was just about to throw you on the carpet there for that
Yes,
one.
Thrawn is in this. So
Holy
it's going to be a wild, fun event. We've done this pretty successfully in the past. We intend to do it successfully again. Come out, check us out, join. We hope that this thing will launch next week. It's going to depend on how much writing that I can get done. The fact is I'm moving this weekend. That makes, things a little bit complicated. But...
And there's probably a 50% or greater chance that the pen and paper you've been using to write so far could get lost at any point.
no, I've actually been writing on the computer.
Oh my goodness!
I know, I've
finally,
upgraded.
Holy moly! 20
I
plus
have-
years I've known this guy, and every great idea he's ever had, or every story we've ever started to write, it's always been pen and paper, which he then proceeds to lose after we finally start getting somewhere and have to start over again.
That's okay. You guys know that I used to be pretty big, still am, into writing poetry, and I had probably about 2/3 of an entire book completed, and it was saved on a phone, and the phone got corrupted and I lost all of it.
Now,
Yeah.
is this poetry rated R?
No, I mean,
I'll say this in terms of the RP the RPG that has no name at the moment. It's going to be a lot of fun. Come join us, show your creativity. Let's kill some time between now and episode 8, and have a lot of fun with this. Let's shape the Star Wars galaxy. It will be broken down into chapters. We have goals that need to be met with the non-playable characters in the shape of the galaxy, where your characters will fit in. Obviously, you can change the shape of the galaxy, but there will be end of chapters at points where a storyline is reaching its conclusion, and we'll move on to a new chapter, and there'll be a bit of a time jump. So it gives a wide range of possibilities. It's almost like you're playing the Old Republic or Knights of the Old Republic, but typing it, and playing as your own character, with obviously more creative control than a video game can give you. Anyways, that is it for the first order of business this week. Fizz, let's start off with HoloNet, and I'll let you take the first topic.
Okay, let's start with the first topic. Making Star Wars this week has confirmed that in Rogue One, Darth Vader will feature in an action sequence.
What? Big news. Probably should have put a spoiler alert up about that.
You know what? We probably should have.
Yeah. Our bad.
The
Rewind
HoloNet
time.
is a perpetually backlogged, backdated spoiler alert. If you're listening to the HoloNet, there's a good chance you're going to get spoiled about something.
Mm-hmm.
If you're listening to the HoloNet, thank you. And yeah, you're definitely going to get spoiled about something. They more or less go on to say that he's going to have a major role in the film, not a minor one, and that he is going to be involved in an action sequence. And all I keep thinking to myself is Vader's going to take on the blind guy, the Japanese, the Asian blind guy who has the staff. That's what I'm thinking. I mean, that, and he's probably just going to slaughter rebels left and right. Thoughts, guys? You guys excited about this?
Yo, I'm so excited about this. When I first read this article and heard about it, I just geeked out. It'd be awesome to see Vader in action again, like in his prime. See, I think I commented on the post. I was like, or in the chat anyway. It reminds me of like something we'd see in Force Unleashed or something. We've got.
Well, this is more or less the retell of that story.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we got talk of him. Levitating bodies, he uses human shields, throwing lightsabers with the Force. Like, that just sounds awesome, and it'd be great to see that on screen.
Mondo, Fizz, how do you guys feel about this Vader action sequence? Not just gonna appear in a hologram or have a couple of one-liners.
I feel like it's probably the most foregone conclusion as far as spoilers go, for me anyway.
Are you excited with it?
Oh, I've always been excited for it. It's just one of those stories that, I've been expecting it for so long that now that you hear it, it's like, yeah, okay, I knew that, though. I mean, I always knew that without knowing,
Mondo.
Yeah, we've talked about this, and I expected it. I mean, I'm excited, but it's one of those things, it makes more sense to have him there than it does not to, especially in a larger capacity. And like I've said before, it's honestly it's an easier sell. It makes the movie more, I don't want to say appealing, because it's already appealing, but it makes it it's going to draw fans just specifically for Vader again. Especially if it's a larger role. It's pretty cool.
This is a no-brainer move, if you ask me. Makes all the sense in the world to have Vader in this film and have him as a big part of this film. Because how many times have we said on this show, Vader in A New Hope takes the whole plans thing, not just as business, but very personally.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It was more than just, he wasn't just upset because, well, now they can blow up my new toy. He was very personally offended by that. So now we get to see specifically why he's so offended. Because they beat him? Would be my guess.
I don't think they beat him. In fact, I think
they escaped with the plans, therefore they beat him. But
I think
they're
going to see one or two people
He's not going to
escape.
get defeated.
Oh God, no! He's going to be their nightmare. The people that do survive to bring the plans back are probably never ever going to forget the face of Darth Vader or the mask of Darth Vader.
I mean, I think the whole galaxy at this point, though, is afraid of that mask. But these people are going to get that first-hand experience of why the whole galaxy is afraid of that mask.
Mono, I'm just going to give you a heads up. When we get to the Battlefront content, pull that up. We're going to let you do the Battlefront thing.
Oh, cool.
Next up, we have a report that we actually had several months ago. And that is, it appears as if, this is just a rumor at this point, but it's been brought up again by Making Star Wars, that Grand Moff Tarkin may very well indeed be appearing in Star Wars The Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens?
Pardon me. Yeah, that would be pretty impossible. Rogue One, a Star Wars story. The Force Awakens is so 1.5 months ago. Fizz, your thoughts on Tarkin coming back?
I like it. I don't expect him to play a very large role.
No, I don't either.
Unfortunately, his portrayer is no longer with us, and that's going to make it a bit more difficult to whatever route they take having him appear. My guess would be that it would probably be in a hologram. That'd be my guess.
I mean, yeah, we heard rumors before that they'd be using motion capture for it, and it would be one of the most expensive motion capture projects in film history. So
because they'd be using old Tarkin, or pardon me. Help me out here, guys. I have the woman talking in my ear, and I'm totally getting thrown off topic here. Peter Cushing. They'd be taking old clips of Peter Cushing from various movies, which obviously requires rights purchasing, pardon me. But I don't know. Tarkin, everybody all for this, or are you against it?
I'm totally for it. I think, having Tarkin and Vader is going to be a great touch. I think we may even, if we're lucky, see some interaction between the two characters. I don't know.
Oh, I think you definitely see interaction between the two characters.
You have to. Yeah.
I'm all for it as long as they can make it work seamlessly.
Well, what's seamlessly to you? I mean, there are obviously restrictions.
Well, of course, but I mean, I don't want to be able to see, like, if they're using old footage from other films and using that to compile and, create his things. I don't want to be able to see something and pick it out as, oh, well, that's just from this and that's just from that. I want it to feel authentic. Like I'll know, of course, that this is all, it's not authentic in no way, but I don't want to be able to pick it apart as where each thing comes from. I want it to just feel like this is just for this movie.
I think it's a great idea. Let's move on, though. Mondo, Star Wars Battlefront news, buddy. You've been waiting for this, and actually, I believe what we're talking about, the content, is now live. I believe I've seen it on Facebook that it has gone live.
It is. I got an email from EA, actually, about this earlier today. So, a bit of Battlefront news actually came out earlier this week. So they've kind of stepped up their game a little bit, pun intended. So what they've done is, a lot of people have mentioned that there's a lack of content in the game, which I don't necessarily feel that, but because I've enjoyed it, but other people have. So today they actually came out with an update that includes some pretty hefty changes and updates. There's a new daily challenge mode, so you can kind of go through those. I haven't seen exactly what that entails yet.
That's cool.
But it's probably going to be stat related. Hit certain stats this day. Get a certain score on this map. Something similar to that. I'm guessing. I could be wrong. Don't hold me to that. Also on Hoth, they've added a couple new outfits for Han Solo and Luke Skywalker. When you play as either of those characters or see either of those characters on related Hoth maps, you will actually see them in their Hoth outfits now instead of the outfits that the game came with, which I think is kind of cool. I think that you're going to possibly see some other outfits as we continue over the next year and a half, and it looks like that they're going to be supporting this game for that long.
Let's talk about the big one. Let's get to the big
maps.
There's
maps.
Your big one.
Now, what does private maps mean? Well, that means that you and 6 friends can actually play her. I mean, I don't know how many friends it'll support.
Or that you have.
Yeah, that too, because I don't have many friends. But you can actually play private maps now, which I think is incredible. It's incredible that it wasn't included to begin with, and I will say that is one of the beefs that I have had about the content side of that game. Is I kind of felt like they I don't know, like that's a big oversight not to have. But that's included. There's also a new map variation on Tatooine. I believe they took the survival map from that and actually started rotating that in the online modes as well. So you've got that to look forward to, and they've promised even more free content. In the next year and a half to come. So on top of that, they've also kind of outlined a little bit of the DLC, the paid DLC content, that will be included individually.
And fittingly enough, it's going to include something they said wouldn't be included in the game.
Yes, well, and in their defense, DLC is not necessarily included in the initial release of the game. It's not included.
I could be wrong. I believe they came out and said, and what I'm referring to is the Death Star level. I believe they came out and said the Death Star would not be featured in this game. I could be wrong on that one. I know I'm not wrong on the we will have episode 7 content Twitter ordeal that went on because we covered it in one of our earliest shows.
Well, technically they did market the Jakku as episode 7. It even had the episode 7 like the as seen in episode 7
this
seal
is just
on it.
for me it irks. We'll get back to the positive stuff in a second. EA just pisses me off. Okay, they did it with NHL 16. They did it with NHL 15. Pardon me, not 16. They did it with NHL 15, and they're doing it again here. EA has done it. I feel like this is, we'll have the patch out for you in just a couple of weeks. 6 months later. Even though that's not an EA thing I'm referring to. I'm done. I'm very happy with this new content. Mondo, continue. I'm sorry. I had to get that off my chest.
Yeah, and it does suck that we're not going to see more episode 7 content. Now, I will say this, though. I have read the tweet that everyone is referring to as them saying that there will not be episode 7. They never officially came out and said there will not be. They just said that at the time being, they're focusing on the original trilogy. And if you looked at the DLC Season Pass outline, there's 3 packs that they have outlined. One's the Death Star, one's Cloud City, and the other one is Jabba's Palace. And
I'm curious about that one. That one could be a lot of fun, Jabba's Palace.
Definitely could be. The one that caught my attention the most, though, was number 4, that they essentially don't have any information to share yet. Meaning, to me, that does not tell me they don't have the information. It means for whatever reason, they're not ready to yet. I have a hunch that may be episode 7 content.
Maybe.
And
I think with the timeline, you're more likely to see Rogue One.
That's possible. That's very possible because it lines up right with the original trilogy.
The timeline did have it set to come out in December.
It did, but do you really think, though, that they would have... I mean, they've already got the Death Star and another DLC content
Rogue One
pack.
isn't on the Death Star.
It's not, but I don't know. To me, I think with Rogue One...
It looks like Rogue One is going to be on a jungle planet from what we know.
I think if you're going to get Rogue One content, I think it's going to be a free patch like Jakku was.
I mean, it's possible. I'll say this about the Jakku free patch. Still my favorite game mode in the game. I liked it better than the hero game modes. I love Jakku. Fizz, what do you think about this? I mean, does this entice you to play Battlefront again? Get you right back into it?
Well, I mean, the addition of the stuff today absolutely does. The stuff that, they've set for the DLC, still a little... I'll wait to actually see it before I decide on that. But, the addition of private matches, though, is a huge one for me. I mean,
that's big.
If I had a nickel for every time we had, 6 guys in a party and, wanted to play Hero Hunt or Heroes versus Villains, but couldn't because you can only have, a 4-person party, well, now that's moot. It doesn't matter now. You can just play it with your people, and that's it.
What do you mean, your people? But no, yeah, you're absolutely right. I think that's... And like I said, it's a little crazy, though, that they didn't have that at launch. I do think that that's one of the biggest foresights that they didn't. Everyone talks about, single-player content. That... To me, that's not the big one. To me, the big one, was the private match.
I'm just most excited that you don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
This is a dice game, and they do have habitually, you have to rent a server to have a private match in Battlefront.
I'm going to mute myself for a second, gentlemen, but I want to use Jake as an example here. Jake, you don't have Battlefront, correct?
I don't.
But you've been considering getting it.
Oh, sure.
So the news release from yesterday about all this,
yeah.
How does that sway you in terms of if you're going to purchase the game or not?
I'm 100% more likely at this point to get it, especially if you don't have to pay for it. Now, the thing stopping me at this point is the fact that I don't own a next-gen console yet. I'm working on it, but don't have one yet. But once I do get one, of course, that's going to be a purchase. And, I get people's problem with the lack of content, or what they think is a lack of content, whatever, however you want to put it. But more is better, I think, when it comes to games, no matter what game it is. If you're getting more than what you had originally paid for, that's okay with me, and it's going to make a lot of people happy. I think it's going to appease a lot of people, and hopefully this is a trend we see continue with this Battlefront game in particular. I think this isn't going to be the end of the new content.
Oh, absolutely not the end of the new content. Like I said, they came out, even in the email, that they said that there is a calendar of content that they've already got planned to come out. It's just a matter now of timing and actually having it announced and released. And I'm excited, and I think this is a trend in gaming that I'm starting to see a little more of. A little more of, yes, there will always be paid DLC. Okay, that's a trend that, as much as you hate it, as much as you despise it, as much as you feel it's stupid, it's never, I'm going to say never, but for the foreseeable future, it's not going anywhere. But I have started to see quite a few companies and do more of the update styles where they include extra stuff on top of the paid stuff. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move this ahead a bit here. Actually, hang on, really quickly. The Death Star level. Now, one would have to assume we're going to see our traditional inside the Death Star is what most of it's going to be, and you're probably going to have multiple levels you can go up and down too, which is not something you have a whole lot of in Battlefront right now. You have different elevations, but not really different levels. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes of it. But the question I have is, are we going to see a space level? Even though it's been said it wouldn't happen, but just one of the, how they have the aircraft levels. What is that? Fighter Squadron? Is that what that mode's called?
Yeah.
Are we going to see a Fighter Squadron level that takes place, with the whole trench run thing?
I think it's possible. I mean, and I don't think, again, I think that's something that I swear I thought that they at one point came out and said that the inclusion of that, space aerial battles may be something included in the future. It wasn't something that was at launch, so I'm not going to count anything out.
Fizz?
I don't think we will.
I don't think we're going to either. I want it to be so bad, but they did come out and say there would be no space battles. There's a difference between aerial battles and space battles, and they flatly came out and said no space battles. But maybe this is the surprise. They came out and said no, and seen the fan demand, and by the time that Death Stars due, August, I think?
Yeah.
Maybe they could have thrown something together by then.
But the way that Fighter Squadron is, though, it does play a lot different than what is the traditional space battle did. So, and maybe that would be their argument if they did include it in there. Hey, it's a completely different mode. It doesn't play, like the space battles. It's still a squadron mode, just in space.
Yeah, that's a bit technical, but I don't disagree with that at all. Let's move on here. There's a report out there that Episode 8 is going to be filming in Croatia. Apparently, they get there's a lot of leniency there and tax breaks and whatnot, and Pirates of the Caribbean's filmed there. Is this surprising to anybody? Croatia is more of a. There's some stuff they could probably pass as a jungle. They could pass anything as anything nowadays with the effects they have, but more of a tropical sense. Can we be seeing our first real Star Wars tropical thing?
I would definitely not call Croatia in any way tropical.
The picture of I seen where a lot of the filming has gone on looks very, very similar to Cuba and Dominican. So I would have to argue that point.
There are some areas that aren't.
I mean, when I think Croatia, I definitely think Eastern European. You know, I've never seen any Croatian areas that I would say are jungly. Not to say they don't exist, but I've never seen it. It just feels weird to me. You know, I know that's where Game of Thrones films a lot of their King's Landing scenes.
Yeah,
as well.
that's another one
And
that
that's
was
that's
mentioned.
like Croatia just feels off point to me. I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends what planet it is, because it is for 8. We don't really know.
Just eight's supposed to be dark from what we know, and that does not at all sort of give me the dark sense.
I could definitely imagine. You know, it just depends on the planet it's portraying. You know, I could see it playing a an Eastern European style look in certain places on certain planets. I could see something like that playing out in a Star Wars universe. But
But
it feels weird to me. I mean, I know they do have, very heavy tax breaks and things of that nature, so it makes sense financially, but thematically and tonally, it just feels weird until I actually start seeing, set photos of where they're actively shooting.
But like you pointed out, though, I mean, they can build sets and things and change, I mean, they can film in a location and make it look almost completely different depending on where they go. And it would be cool to see, a more tropical style area. We're just going to have to wait and see, though. I mean, I know that's kind of I'll admit that's slightly a cop-outy answer, but it's... honestly, with today's technology, it's almost kind of hard to judge.
All right, let's move on from there. Our good friends at Collider Jedi Council, and by friends, we're fans of them, and Jake gets to work hand in hand with Mr. Harloff. I don't know if I'm supposed to reveal that publicly, but I just did. Sue
And
me.
Canada soon.
And Campia, yeah. And Campia. Gotta love me some Canadian Campia.
Oh,
Campia into his house. As that
Whoa! What the hell was that?
was
Please
enjoying
don't ever do that again. Like, ever.
was enjoying his stories today of his trip to Canada. It was fun. Obviously, he's Canadian, as I just pointed out. Anyway, they talked about on their episode last week about they had gotten reports suggesting that episode 8 would heavily feature flashbacks. Now, the owner of this channel that we're recording live on right now, not the Empire Network, but channel 1138, has run a theory himself about what happens if a lot of episode 8 happens before episode 7. Now, I don't think it'll be that drastic, and I'm referring to Mr. Siegel, obviously, Chris Siegel. I don't think it'll be that drastic, but the report went on to say that Harrison Ford and Max von Sydow will indeed be returning. I have extreme doubts about this still, but it's starting to get more play, and who wouldn't want to see Harrison Ford back for one scene? It's not going to be a major role, but, one scene, a flashback. I think that's very doable, especially with the announcement today that Harrison Ford is set to unveil Disney Star Wars theme parks in a TV special airing February 21st on the ABC network. Thank you, Kenny. Is this possible, guys? Is this going to happen? Jake, what do you think?
Yeah, why not? I mean, episode 7 was different from any other Star Wars movie in its own ways, and I think that episode 8 is going to take that further. I mean, we already heard why am I forgetting the name of the writer of episode 7 and
Lawrence Kasdan?
Thank you. Larry Kasdan. He's already said it's going to be weird, and whether that means in context to other Star Wars movies or just weird in general, it would be weird to see, Harrison Ford especially back, seeing as how he's already dead, but it would just be weird to see a flashback in Star Wars in general, I think. Am I opposed to it? Absolutely not. I think it'd be great.
Well, I think there's the question is it going to be a flashback or is it going to be a vision of the past? Two different things.
Well, a vision of the past, well, I guess. I mean, because vision of the past, I guess, anybody could have, and you don't have to have seen it already firsthand. A flashback is a firsthand experience.
Yeah, let's correct that. Han Solo is dead, not Harrison Ford. Let's start reporting that.
No,
Too late.
Harrison
Too late.
Ford
It is all over Twitter by now. Harrison Ford deceased.
Didn't he get in a plane crash? No, but I like the idea.
Guys, Mondo, Fizz, what do you guys think?
I mean, the idea of seeing Han Solo again, I'm all for. I'm always for that. I'll always be for that. But it has to make sense. You know, it can't just be here's Harrison because, well, here's Harrison. You know, I need it to make sense in the story. And I don't want it to be a flashback in the, traditional sense. It has to be a vision. And
I think it has to be Kylo. I think it has to be a vision with Kylo. And I think it needs to take place, 10, 15 years before The Force Awakens. And before anybody says Harrison Ford cannot pull that off. Give him a little bit of hair dye, have it like the brownie gray, some extra makeup, and you absolutely make him look like he's in his late 50s instead of early 70s. Easy as pie, tic-tac-toe.
He's Harrison Ford. The guy hasn't really aged in the last 20 years.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think just Kylo having this vision of younger him aboard the Falcon, maybe before he makes his turn, with his dad there, Han, would be almost like haunting him from the grave, the Force haunting him. I think it'd be remarkable. We'll see. I wouldn't hold my breath on it, but I'm with you, Fizz. I don't want to see Han for the sake of seeing Han. I want to see Han if the story says we should see Han. All right, let's move on. But these guys are laughing at something, but I haven't checked yet. Bob Iger confirms more Star Wars films after Episode 9 and makes no mention of the Boba Fett film due in 2020, according to Entertainment Weekly, as of about 2 months ago, as a film in production anymore. The article goes on to state, Bob goes on to state that the last Star Wars film in production for the moment would be Episode 9. There'll be obviously films after it, but he wouldn't go as far to say as when he would expect those films to come out and what the length in between films would be. I find this a bit surprising because Entertainment Weekly is pretty. When they say something, it's usually good to go, and now I'm a bit perplexed.
What? How could you be anything but excited off your gourd?
I mean, it's not shocking news that there's more films after Episode 9. Well, it might come surprising to some if one of the films after Episode 9 ends up being in Episode 10, 11, and 12. I don't think everybody necessarily expects that to happen. Although I do. I firmly do. Guys, what do you read into this? And are we seeing a backup in the Boba Fett film?
Not necessarily. 2020 is still a long ways away. It's not the first time I've seen a head honcho, a big cheese, forget about a film that's in production.
Big cheese.
So, it could be just as simple as he actually forgot about it, because it is so far off.
You don't forget about
burner. I think somebody like Bob Iger probably forgets a lot of things in production.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I do.
I bet you he has access at any point in the day to a Excel spreadsheet of.
Oh, I'm absolutely sure he does as well. But the fact is, there's usually a lot bigger things on his mind on a daily basis than, what films are currently in production, and what films aren't.
But
You know,
that's his.
he's got everything on his plate. Everything. You know, this isn't Kathleen Kennedy, who, if she made that comment, I'd be a bit more, whoa, hold on a minute now. That's not right. Like, what's going on here?
At the same time, Kathleen Kennedy answers to...
Well, of course he does, but, you know, that's to say that,
He?
you know, I look at this like a sports franchise, okay? Inside the Disney architecture, Bob Iger is the commissioner. Disney's just one of the teams.
Art Vandelay!
You know, Disney's just one of the teams in... excuse me. Star Wars is just one of the teams in the Disney League. You know, you've got, you know, ABC and Marvel and ESPN and all these other teams. You know, he may not always know every single move that this team is making at any given time. He'll know the big ones.
I compare this to sports because my brain hurts.
He'll know the big ones, but, you know, he's not going to know every single prospect on any given team.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, and I agree with Ben Hart's comments in the chat about, let's face it, Lucasfilm Limited is making these movies, he's just overseeing them.
Exactly.
I agree, but make no mistake, if Disney wants to step in and say, this ain't happening, or this needs to happen, yeah, Disney has the final say. They've already swung that baton more than once in the 3 years, and they will swing again if necessary.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's move on, though. Mondo, do you have access to the Techno Buffalo article?
I absolutely do.
All right, you're our gaming boy, so why don't you've been waiting for this for a while, so why don't we let you take this away? We have some... Mondo, just take it away. Let them know the exciting report that's out there as of yesterday.
So everyone's been all upset. Oh, EA messed up Battlefront. You know, they left out single player, yada, yada, yada. Well, you're in luck. It looks like they're reviving another Star Wars video game franchise. That is right. It looks like Imperial Commando. It looks like it's slated for a 2017 release. That's actually really exciting. It's really cool. Those games were always so fun to play on the original Xbox.
Well, we should state that I believe there was only the one Republic Commando.
There was.
I thought there was Republic Commando 1 and 2.
No, 2 got canceled. 2 was deep into development, and it got canceled. But there's people that are big fans of Republic Commando. Anyways, keep at her.
All right. I thought you were going to talk longer, so I took a piece of bite of my candy bar. So, as of right now, it looks like it's slated for November 2017. So, next year. It looks like that right now, it's slated, and this is actually what surprised me the most. So, of course, you're going to have your Xbox, your PlayStation 4, your computer. Also, looks like it's slated for Nintendo NX, which you don't know what that is. It's a new Nintendo console that should be coming out later this year. And it looks like it's going to use the Frostbite engine, which makes sense because that is an EA-owned entity. And it looks like it's going to feature co-op. Looks like up to 4 players. Each player is going to have unique gadgets, features. You can give orders, do all sorts of cool things. And it looks like the hood is gonna be the helmet view, and it's gonna even be more important than Republic Commando. So it's gonna be a little more visually intense, which I thought, Republic Commando was pretty visual for its time. I thought it was really good for its time. It looks like it's going to contain vehicles in some way, shape, or form. Kind of takes me to Halo a little bit. Halo is that first-person shooter. It's got the vehicles that actually do play a pretty important role in the gameplay style of that game. So that's pretty entertaining. It looks like the environment will be mostly destructible. Again, they're using Frostbite, so that's really not that hard to fathom because you think about Battlefield, and it's a pretty destructible type game. And it looks like, story-driven. That's the word I'm looking for here. It looks like it's going to be 20-plus hour campaign, which, like I was telling the guys pre-show here, that's really almost not that out of the ordinary anymore. I mean, yes, you do have your shorter games, like Call of Duty, Battlefield, stuff like that. But I've played a few first-person games over the last couple of years that push that 15 to 20 hour time frame. So that's really exciting to hear. And this last one I take with a huge grain of salt because it's been announced so many times with games and then repealed. But there's going to be an app, I'm guessing, like a second screen for your smartphone, tablet. And it looks like it's going to have, radar, weapon, gadgets. I'm going to base this off what it says here. Think of almost like a Pip-Boy that you have in front of you that helps you with the game. It's going to be kind of laid out like that, kind of like a tool that you can use. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that this is actually something that's going to come to fruition, or do you think this is just something that is just being rumored on, and it's just going to kind of fizzle out over the next couple of months?
I mean, Ben Hart mentioned in the chat that people shouldn't get their hopes up. He heard it was fake, but he hadn't done his research yet, so don't quote him.
On Ben.
I'm skeptical, too, because I thought Knights of the Old Republic would be high up on that list before Star Wars Imperial Commando. Now, remind you, there is a rumor that we're going to get Knights of the Old Republic on the Xbox One and the PC this year relaunched, and it'll debut at E3. And that was covered by far more reputable sources. But it has not yet been confirmed. I would mention this. We revealed in one of our very first episodes a ton of information on Knights of the Fallen Empire, and had some people in the chat call us out for using a source that was less than reliable and not very great. We're not saying this is true. All I'm saying is everything that we mentioned in Knights of the Fallen Empire has been 110% true. We nailed that thing. We nailed that thing harder than Mondo nails a 12-pack of donuts. That's how hard we nailed that thing.
I'll be honest with you. That is sadly true. I eat a lot of donuts. Okay, I should have been a police officer. I do. I eat a lot of donuts. Okay, don't.
I should also mention really quickly here. The game is titled Imperial Commando. Therefore, is not necessarily a sequel to Republic Commando. It doesn't have to have anything to do with Republic Commando.
I think it falls in the same vein. It just is.
It's no different than Battlefront coming out, and Battlefront is not a sequel to Battlefront 1 or 2. So it's possible. I would say this: Republic Commando would give Star Wars players that Call of Duty feel. Where Battlefront gives it more of a Battlefield feel, obviously. I don't know. I mean, this could be true, could not be true. It was way too way too detailed of a report to not mention it to you guys. One of the things they state here is it's worth noting that the site's countdown expires on June 15th during an EA presentation. Here's the thing. EA's press conference has always been on Monday, June 15th, has always been on Mondays. June 15th is a Wednesday in 2016.
Well,
so
I
that
also
would go against the grain.
And
there's one more thing, and that is EA has not had any releases on Nintendo in some time. So to assume that they're going to do a new Nintendo release might be a bit far-fetched as well.
Well, okay. Well, not this last Need for Speed, but Need for Speed Most Wanted, the newer one, did come out on the Wii U. I actually have seen that on the Wii U. But you're right, they haven't had a Nintendo release in a while. But I do want to point this out, though. A lot of developers don't like the Wii U. A lot of them feel like it's a waste of time to do anything on.
Have you played Splatoon?
I have. I'm not saying the system isn't fun. I own a Wii U and I love it. But I will say this: a lot of developers, they don't like developing for the Wii U because Nintendo requires that every game have, I believe it's to have dual screen compatibility.
That's stupid.
And a lot of developers feel like it's not really worth, the extra money and effort to push forward that, to bring people in to do that. People can argue all day that consoles are outdated tech, but even further outdated tech with the Wii U. And the NX is supposed to be a more next-gen system or style system.
Do you know if the NX is, you know what, let's save that for Hyperspace Gaming. Tune into Hyperspace Gaming this week's episode. I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll save the plugs for the end of the show. Fizz, Jake, do you guys think this is true? Are we going to see Imperial Commando?
I've been to a lot of gaming rumor sites in my years. I've never, ever heard of Techno Buffalo.
Oh, I have.
So I'm going to go with no. I'm not buying it. Not yet. But if it seems plausible, but I'm not jumping on that train yet until I see it somewhere that I trust as legitimate.
I want to point something out though. I believe it came out earlier today that EA may be skipping E3 this year, and doing their own conference somewhere still in the same area, but not a part of E3, called
I would
EA
be
Play.
shocked if that happened.
Called EA Play. A lot of developers, honestly, E3 is starting to become really expensive to go to, and you can almost, if you do something simultaneously or release information around the same time with all the people searching for it, you almost would get almost about the same response, to be honest with you. Yeah.
I love Rogue's response. Techno Buffalo sounds like a dance club in Buffalo.
Welcome to Techno Buffalo.
That's too hat on hand to be in Buffalo. I'd imagine it's in like Albuquerque.
Dude,
I
could be wrong on this, and
Buffalo, there's nothing up there.
I could eat my words here, but I think there's more of a chance of seeing a Jar Jar Binks standalone film than EA skipping E3.
I'm with you on that one.
I'm looking at it right here. It's called EA Play. It's going to be June 12th through 14th.
Oh, I don't.
They're not
doubt
the only
that.
ones who run their own conference and still do E3. E3 is far too big a media thing. Everyone's there. Everyone's there. Every major outlet in media is there. Even
I
TV
can tell,
networks are there.
I can tell what's happening here, and we're about to break into a big gaming debate. But we'll save it for Hyperspace Gaming next week, which I had no idea Nintendo was coming out with a new system. So we have a great topic next week for Hyperspace Gaming.
I just pulled it up, man. There's multiple sites that are reporting that EA is pulled out of E3.
No.
Well, tune into Hyperspace Gaming for that. I need to see it personally to
In the
figure
words
that
of
one
Vince
out.
McMahon, no chance in hell.
All right, let's move on to our Rebels review of Princess on Lothal from last week. Mondo and Jake haven't seen it yet, so you might want to mute your ears for a couple of minutes here. Fizz, you just had a chance to watch the first episode of the second half of the season, Season 2. What do you think of it?
Just finished it about 20 minutes before we went to air, so it's still fresh in my mind. I quite enjoyed it. There was quite a few times there where, you were kind of like, wait, what? Huh? Hold on, huh? Seeing Leia play up the Imperial aspect of her cover was just plain weird and unnatural, especially the part where she was kidnapped and, and then her getting stunned by Ezra on the gangplank there when he's like, wait, what? What?
Oh.
Like, wait, whoa, okay. And, of course, Kanan getting whacked by, oh, good God, I'm drawing a blank on his name, and it's bugging me now.
Kanan,
when he got whacked by the cat dude,
The cat dude.
I can't think of his name.
Really?
I can't, his name is just, it's right on the tip of my tongue.
Zeb.
It's not, thank
Zeb.
you, Mr. Aurelios, okay? Thank you.
The cat dude. He doesn't even look like a cat. What are you talking
AKA original design for Chewbacca.
about? Yeah.
Um,
The original Wookiee.
yeah. I liked the episode. It wasn't great. It was an average episode. It was pretty good. I didn't think it was mind-blowing. In fact, I thought the last two... Dat cat dude.
That's right.
I thought the...
He will always be the cat dude from now
we need to
on.
get a meme of that Dat cat dude. Have Zeb with his arms crossed. Sideways hat.
That sounds like a jazz album or something.
And then have Ben down in the corner saying, "Tell that to Ganja Club." But there was some corny stuff in this episode that I didn't like. And the one thing I gotta admit I couldn't stand was Kanan slicing through the legs of the Imperial AT-ATs like butter with his lightsaber. Don't get me wrong, lightsaber is going to slash through a lot of stuff like butter.
Lightsabers can go through almost anything.
Yes, but not that easily.
Why not?
Well, if that was the case, wouldn't it have been smarter on Hoth for Luke to just get out of his land speeder and
I've
just
heard this
chop
brought
him
up
up?
a few times.
Yeah,
Why?
not to mention, look at Qui-Gon with the door at Phantom Menace. Lightsabers have its... You're right, weaker
You're
material.
telling me that
Imperial
a door.
walkers aren't
You're telling
counting
me
on
that
lightsabers.
You're telling me that a resistance door is made of stronger material than
Not a
Imperial
resistance door.
AT-AT?
It's a Neomoidian door.
I don't care if
No,
it's
yeah, it was corny. You know, people pick on the Force Unleashed for being corny and over the top. This little thing here might have been more over the top than some of the stuff in the Force Unleashed.
I have headcanoned it to be that he hit the knee joints just in the right spot where the metal was at its weakest point on the joint, and just sliced through it that way. That's how I headcanoned it.
I chalk it up to
visual
they're only
dictionary.
22-minute episodes, and we can't spend 4 minutes on watching Kanan cut down each leg.
Well, that to say though, I mean, it could have been just easily to expose a coolant line or something of that nature, and slice it, a hydraulic line or something of that nature.
Let's go with that.
I headcanon one strike, he hit the joint. It's just the angle of the knee was at such a way that the joints were at their weakest, and he was able to just slice through it at its thinnest. I headcanon it away that way.
Yeah,
I mean, to say if he goes up against a walker and tries to slice the side of a walker and just walk in, that's not gonna fly for me.
Why can't he slice through it? It's
because a lightsaber wouldn't slice through an AT-ST
not
like
one
that.
slice.
It would take time.
I mean, if he was on top of an AT-AT and
Bless you.
dug his
Thank you.
saber down into the top of it and very, very slowly and painstakingly cut a hole, sure, I buy that. It's a lightsaber; it'll cut through it eventually. But
I mean, I realize this is an animated series, but that part felt a little too Bugs Bunny to me. I don't know any other way to put it.
For me, it would have made so much more sense if he four strikes one leg. It's still gonna fall over, but it's a lot more easier for me to buy 4 slashes on each side of the leg, cutting that leg off. The walker's still gonna fall ass over a tea kettle. You still serve the same purpose, but it's a much easier pill to swallow than completely de-legging it.
I mean, I get it. This is a thing to nitpick about, and some people might roll their eyes. I can't believe they're going on about this. But there's far less things that people go on about Star Wars, and to me, it was corny and cheap and a bad decision. However, I mean, the last 2 episodes of Rebels just haven't been that good. I mean, you look at the episode of Rebels before that, where we see a certain character's, heritage. The results of what happened there, and the way they showed that go down. We know Rebels is going to get amazing in this back half of the season. I'm just saying the last 2 episodes might be my least favorite of the season.
It's definitely got room to go up. They're still good, but they're not great. I
mean, I still enjoyed them.
This isn't a top 5 episode. This isn't a top 5 episode of the series. It's nice, and seeing Leia in her undercover Imperial guise was fun. It was a nice thing to see, but I could have lived without it. My biggest thing though was the hammerheads. I love the hammerheads.
Yeah, I mean, it was a solid episode. I'd give it an honest 6 out of 10. You know, it was enjoyable.
6 out of 10. That's nothing.
Just because it's Star Wars doesn't.
Every episode
Star Wars
needs to
doesn't
be
mean
perfect.
Ugh.
Now, I didn't see the episode, and I thought it was fantastic.
Let's move on, though, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on to the Outer Rim, where Ben is surely hiding in a cave somewhere under his couch, hiding from Kanja Club now as they're coming to collect the rent fee.
Oddly enough,
wait, when did Kanja Club buy the cave?
Kanja Club has always owned the cave. Ben just found this out.
Oh,
yeah.
Oddly enough, the first DLC pack for Battlefront is actually called The Outer Rim, based on the.
Tell that to
thing.
Kanja Club.
Yeah, tell that to Kanja Club.
I'm going to.
The Outer Rim is a segment where we pick one smaller news topic to talk about, and some of these are very brief, so they might get a minute of talking.
At best.
Where each of us get to pick a topic, if they choose to pick any. So let's start off. Here are your choices, boys. Kevin Smith cameo in The Force Awakens. JJ sings during the Cantina sequence. Cancelled Star Wars game, Star Wars Outpost. 9 things you need to know about Visceral Star Wars game. And the Old Republic planning a massive expansion on the heels of the success of Knights of the Fallen Empire. Fizz, let's start with you.
Kevin Smith in The Force Awakens.
Kevin Smith has a cameo in The Force Awakens. He plays the voice of a stormtrooper. I don't have the article up, so I can't remember when it was. I'm sure someone in the chat that's pretty knowledgeable already knows. Actually,
Ben,
Jake
we're
may even
looking
know. Jake, do you know which stormtrooper he plays?
Let's see here. He's the one that doesn't he yell something or other? Right around Maz Kanata's castle, he yells like I forget the actual quote, but I read it today. I forget, but I know which trooper he was talking about.
I do believe it's on Maz's planet.
Okay, Kevin Smith was the stormtrooper who reacts to the incoming resistance fighters. We have incoming at 28.6. Move.
Yes.
That was his line.
Move!
So there you go.
All right, Jake, anything you want to talk about on this list?
Well, since we're talking about cameos in The Force Awakens, how about J.J. Abrams?
It appears that J.J. Abrams did some singing during the Cantina sequence, a.k.a. again at Maz's castle, for The Force Awakens. Does this surprise any of you guys?
Cameoing, no. Singing in the cantina, yes.
I didn't expect that. I think, I don't know. I mean, I guess it works. I want to know which voice was his so I can scrutinize it to no end, but...
He doesn't strike me as the type of guy that would take something... He seems very serious, so I'm surprised he did that.
He may have sang at his bar mitzvah.
Maybe.
Because
Mondo, pick a topic.
Oh man, put me on the spot. I'm going to go with the Old Republic planning a massive expansion on the heels of the success of Knights of the Fallen Empire. I have one word to just to sum that all up. Duh.
Yeah, I mean, Knights of the Fallen Empire has rejuvenated the Old Republic. Its subscription count is the highest it's been since the game first came out. People love Knights of the Fallen Empire because it's very similar to Knights of the Old Republic. Not quite as open world, it's a little more one-dimensional than that, but it seems like the back half chapters will open it up more. This makes all the sense in the world. They did it in a way that kept people subscribing. My guess is it'll be a similar way, another massive expansion. I mean, EA's just raking in that dough. They're bringing in that the Old Republic money.
Bringing in that bills, money, y'all.
Yeah. So
I regret saying that immediately after saying it. I just thought y'all should know that.
Dollar bills, y'all? Yeah, I think you should regret saying that.
Not as bad as
Yeah,
you
you should
earlier.
probably stop right now.
Okay, at least I feel bad about saying it immediately after saying it. You no remorse. Sage, what's yours? What's your topic to try the Outer Rim tonight?
Well, you just took mine, but I'll take Star Wars Outpost, which was going to be almost like a strategy / MMO game. I've seen some screenshots of it from Naboo. You'd get to develop characters, have items, create traits. It sounded like it was going to be a fun game, a lot better than what was that terrible mobile game that came out, that RPG. Mondo.
Oh, Uprising?
Yeah, Uprising.
I played that game for about 2 days.
That was a disgrace.
I played it for about 15 minutes.
I played that game for about 2 days. I've spent more time playing Star Wars Heroes in the last 2 weeks, up to the top 3,000 ranked in Battle Worldwide. Thank you very much.
Play Star Wars mobile games. This is a general rule. Have you ever played? Oh, never mind. That's a different topic.
All right, so let's get to the trench run here. We have a fan question, and then we'll get to our plugs, and that'll be it. The fan question comes from none other than my baby brother, Brendan.
Hey, Brendan.
And
hey, Brady boy. I'm sorry, you're old.
Brady!
If you were in charge, if you were in charge of making Knights of the Old Republic 3, what would it be about? Fizz, I'm going to put you up to bat here first.
Wow, that is an unfathomably tough question.
It is. I've been thinking all day since he submitted it to me.
I guess it depends on where you want to put it in the timeline. You know, I mean, if you're going after 2 before the Old Republic, then I kind of want to do the Revan book.
We're actually going to bring a special guest on to answer this question too. Fizz, if you can invite Tony in here to answer this, he is back. Welcome back, Tony, to the Empire Network and Channel 1138. We're going to get him in here because he's played 1 and 2, obviously, to give his answer on this question as well. But Fizz, yeah, go ahead. More detailed than what you just gave, though.
Well, you know, I'd take elements of the Revan story. You know, Mitra's attempt to find Revan. You know, dealing with Bastila and her children, and you know, interacting with the characters. You know, Mandalore was a big part of that story, and I feel like there's a lot about that story that you can elaborate on while still staying true to that as the main plot line. You know, I mean, if you want to go completely original, though, in between, if I'm going completely original, I'd probably take Revan and Bastila's grandson and tell a story about them.
Whoa.
That would probably be where I'd go. You know, skip the 2 generations, skip right to the grandchildren, and then go from there. Because you have a clean slate. You can tell whatever story you want. You know, the child growing up, even if you start young with the child still being very young, and start the story then where they hear stories about, you know, your grandfather, and have them go on a quest of, you know, learning about their grandfather, you know, traveling down his path while telling their own story with their own villains and characters. You know, and it'd be nice, you know, you could throw in HK-47, of course, has to be in there, because, you know, he's HK, it's an Old Republic, and it's a child of the Revan bloodline, so he has to be there.
Inquiring theory, Master.
Exactly. And you'd always have those words. You have to have those words. But yeah, that's where I'd go. I'd probably go with either a direct game version of the Revan book, or tell a whole new story about a grandchild.
Tony, first of all, welcome back.
What's up,
Well,
Tony?
Thank you very much. It is nice to be back, of course. I've been off the internet for a while.
This,
Are you
I
doing
believe,
Andy
is...
Kaufman?
I'm going a little crazy with everything else, so...
Sounded like an Andy Kaufman, so let's go with that.
This is the first time Tony has appeared on this version of Star Wars Wastelands on the Empire Network. So welcome, and let me throw you under the bus here, or throw the bus at you.
I don't
If
know
you were
about that.
in
I'll
charge-
just take the force and push it right back at you.
if you were in charge of making Knights of the Old Republic 3, what would it be about?
Well, considering Knights 2 kind of reflected, I'd expect it to be more on the lines of where the exile actually creates a new Jedi Order type thing. So, just because of the fact that the last one, you were able to, on the Knights 3, you could actually take and...
Knights 2, but yeah.
Knights 2, you could actually take and make your own, take and make a couple Jedi. Train some of your companions as Jedi.
Mira was damn hard to get to. Mira and VADER.
Oh, VADER I've done once at least. I did Mira several times.
Yeah, see, I did Atten a bunch. Atten was fairly easy.
Mira,
Same with Handmaiden.
Mira, you gotta make sure you get on on Nar Shaddaa when you get her to train. You can't
I'll have to remember that when I play back through the game.
But you also got to make sure you got the influence of her. So
would your version of Knights of the Old Republic 3 feature Revan in any way?
I think it would have a little bit of a backstory on Revan, but considering in Knights 2 he was non-existent, I don't think I would.
Yet the whole game was pretty much about him, but he was still non-existent. And, I mean, you see him in a vision, you hear about him a bunch, but that's about it. All right, well, that's interesting. For me, I would be inclined to make a Knights 3 based very similar to the Revan book, The Old Republic, came out by Mr. Carpentier. However, I would have some changes from there. I wouldn't have Mitra go out alone to try to find Revan. I would have her take an ensemble of characters from the first game, characters from the second game, and a couple of new characters. You know, in fact, Mitra might not even be your playable character. Your playable character may be somebody Mitra recruits early on to go find Revan. And then at the end of the game, you know, a select few of you maybe run into Revan, and that's where you get your ending that ties into the Old Republic. That would be my answer. Anyways, though...
why am I hearing a duck call?
I'm playing Halo 2, if that makes any sense.
Apologies. The dog was quacking. Quack, quack. Why don't you have another quack at it?
Quack, 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 Mr. Ducksworth.
Yes. Don't forget that you can tune in to Hyperspace Gaming right now on the Empire Network channel on YouTube, where we go back in time and... Tony, this might be down your error. Is we talk about the earlier Super Mario Brother games, 1, 2, 3, and Super Mario World from
I have
the
Super Mario 3 on to play on actual Nintendo.
Yeah,
on Nintendo.
On SNES, the Super Mario World. We talk about Mario Kart a bit. And we also talk about Sonic the Hedgehog.
We find out Sage has never played Mario
2
RPG.
and 3. Yes, I've never played Mario RPG, just as I never played Sonic the Hedgehog 1. I played 2. 2 I love 2. Love the pinball.
I've heard of Mario RPG.
What?
How dare you, Jake?
Sorry.
Actually, neither have I. I'd never heard of it either. I mean, Jake's also considerably younger, and I'd never even heard of it, so...
All I can imagine is like Skyrim mixed with Mario.
I don't know. For me,
That's a very weird visual.
Yeah. Anyways, though, Tony, thanks for making a cameo here at the end of the episode. It's a pleasure
not a
to have you back.
Good to have you back, Tony.
Mondo, thanks for all the gaming news and all those wonderful references you were giving us at the beginning of the show.
Oh, no problem, man.
Mr. Damon, you were returning this week, too.
Yeah,
it was a pleasure to have you, and I loved that video of you at the beginning of Wastelands a couple days ago, but the one we recorded last Thursday.
Yep.
Fizz, thanks for hosting, brother.
Always a pleasure.
I'm just wondering, as I'm talking, is Ray's theme playing?
Yes.
Awesome. I love that theme. I'm picturing it in my head right now. Should I sing along with it?
No.
Do the viewers want me to sing along with Ray's theme?
I
Do
will.
we want to have a
Absolutely
sing
do
along?
not.
You don't deserve a sing-along.
There's no
You
words.
deserve to be screwed.
There's no words.
Um,
This gimmick doesn't work. There's no words.
Ty Nelson was going to join us tonight. However, some creative differences, we'll call it, kept him from being on. But we hope we can get him on for a whole show in the near future. It would have been a lot of fun having Ty on. Also, we'd like to apologize to everybody in the live recording right now that tuned into that atrocious disaster, vile piece of crap that we attempted last week. The episode of Wastelands on YouTube is not that terribly put together episode we had last Wednesday. That just was. It was
Started
Quite
bad
frankly,
and ended worse.
It was worse than McMahon's ability to close football games. Anyways,
Okay,
may the
you know what? I've
force
had
be
enough
with
of you. I've had enough of you. You poop.
Fight.
You poop.
I poop.
Yeah,
Tell
you.
that to Conja Club. Have a good night. Peace, y'all.